Kenny here again with this webinar today, the Chamber Travel Programs, and this is courtesy of Indus Travels and myself, Frank J. Kenny. For those of you that I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, I'm a former Chamber President and CEO. I guess my claim to fame here is that we doubled the size of our Chamber, a 45-year-old Chamber, in about 18 months through social media strategies, and I'm going to share some of those with you and how they relate to Chamber travel. I am honored to speak at the state, national, international level on these kind of topics. There's me speaking at a Chamber event recently. I'm a faculty of the U.S. Chamber Institute program. I have my MBA, member of the American Chamber of Commerce Executives and the Western Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives. I love to share these social media strategies. I wrote a book on it for chambers, which is on my website. And then today what we're going to do is share insights from a recent survey that I did of chambers on how they were using social media to promote their international trips, chamber trips for non-dues revenue. So that's why I am here. I went looking for a company to partner with in the chamber travel space, and I pretty much know all the different companies that are helping chambers with this kind of thing. And I came across Indus, and I've met with them. I like them. I did research on their company, and that's why Indus has partnered with me here today. And we're going to have Harish talk here in a second about his company. But what I liked was 10 years of experience in the industry, Canadian company. Headquartered in British Columbia, not too far from where I'm at in the Seattle area. I loved that all monies collected by Indus for these trips are held in trust. That's part of this Consumer Protection BC. I also love that they were licensed in California, which you all know how tough it can be to do business and get licensing in California. And finally, I love that they're not a small company, but they're not the biggest in the industry, which means when you call them, you actually talk to a person, your contact there. So they're mid-market and family-owned. So a lot of good things to say about Indus. They sponsor the state chamber events and the national chamber events. Well-established company, proud to do business with them. I also noticed that some of the people there that I'm in contact with, Praveen, one of the leaders, one of the principals of the company, here he is with the President of India and the Tourism Minister of India, getting an award for the best tour operator to India for the 4th time in 5 years. So well-established, well-recognized company. Here they are doing, Indus is giving some donations to nonprofits, the BC Cancer Foundation, the Heart and Stroke Foundation, so they're community-minded. I just wanted you to know why I've partnered with Indus on this. Harish, at this time, would you say a little bit about your company, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Frank, and welcome everyone. My name is Harish Shroff, and I'm the group coordinator at Indus Travel. So a little bit about the company, as Frank already touched. We are 10 years in the industry. We are actually a wholesaler, so we deal with many travel companies here in Canada as well as in US, because we have both the licenses. We are based in Vancouver. That's the head office. That's where all of our operation team and everybody is there. The staff who handles all these bookings, all these destinations are very knowledgeable because they have traveled to the destination. So we have an Asia division, a Latin America division, a Middle East division. So the staff has been to, say, if it's a Middle East division, they've been to Egypt, Turkey. If they are from Asia division, they've been to Hong Kong, India, and other places. And if you see below it, we have all the recognitions and industry certificates required. We are ACTA member, we are ASTA member, we are member with the Better Business Bureau, and we've been licensed fully with all these certificates. One main thing which Frank touched, in BC especially, the regulations are very strict. All the money that we collect from you actually goes to a trust account, and through the trust account we can only pay to the suppliers overseas. So you're very, very sure that the company with whom you're dealing is sound and your clients will be getting the services as required. Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome, Harish, and thank you for that.
Yep.
Other things that I discovered about them, I mean, they go everywhere in the world, basically. There's some screenshots I took from their website, and then there's their website there, and you can see that you're really going to find a worldwide operator here. So one last piece of housekeeping is I'm not being paid a commission here to promote Indus Travel. It doesn't matter if you send 50 people from your chamber on a trip. I don't get paid any of that. We do have a sponsor agreement. They are sponsoring this webinar, making it free, so that's how I make my money. But you don't have to worry about Indus paying me a commission. There are a lot of fine firms in the chamber travel industry. I know people from all of them, and it's just Indus rose to the top. So there's a lot to that. So let's jump into this. Recently, I was in China, courtesy of SITSLink and ACCE, with a group of chamber presidents. Had an amazing time in China. If you haven't visited China, you probably should put that on your bucket list. 5-star hotels, just an amazing time. There we were in China, being at a business meeting, being treated as dignitaries, which we were, representing the business community of America. So I did a survey of chambers, how they were using social media and their assets to raise non-dues revenues through chamber trips, and where social media fit in. And one of the things that came back when I asked what was the most benefit to your chamber board and membership from doing these chamber trips, the question is basically, why do chamber trips? 95% of the chambers came back and said, we do it for the non-dues revenue. So that's the first thing I'm going to talk about here today, just so you know, show me the money. So this is some of the responses we got in our survey. Great experience from our members, and of course added revenue. The trips themselves were quality trips, gave us visibility in the community, but here's the most important thing: earned a substantial amount of non-dues money for the chamber. And I'm going to run through a few of these. You might find I'm going through these fast, but you have access to the recording afterwards and also to the PowerPoint. So I'm just going to blaze through these, but non-dues revenue, networking opportunities, gain new members. That's always a good thing. The trip was very positive, but primarily see it as a non-dues revenue generator. So in the survey I asked, of my list of chambers all across the North America, have you done one of these trips? And only about 34% of chambers, at least according to my data, have done these trips. So it's still relatively new for the industry. It's not as if it's expected that all chambers do these. A lot of chambers haven't stepped up to the plate yet. But when I asked the business community if your local chamber did offer an international group trip at a great rate with an excellent destination, would you consider going? And over 3/4 of the business respondents said, yeah, sure. I mean, I consider going with my chamber on an international trip. So the market is definitely there. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people travel internationally on these chamber trips. So I think you really have to consider this as a non-dues revenue source. So what kind of money are we talking about here? Here's a chamber that said they took 50 individuals on the trip. Here's another one where they have a trip plan for 2/13 to Netherlands and Belgium, so they're doing 2 trips. Of course, the main benefit is non-dues revenue. How this pencils out here is you get $250 of a commission in general. That seems to be a kind of like the going royalty rate among the industry, and I know that's what Indus pays. So here's the number. So if you get just 20 people, you're looking at $5,000 in non-dues revenue, where you can see the Seattle Metro Chamber, bigger chamber, about a little bit over 2,000 in members, brought in $60,000 in 3 trips for a year, and then Denver, $25,000. So it can really equate to substantial non-dues revenue. Even for a small chamber, you get a few members and several people from the community going, you're looking at $5 grand in non-dues revenue, so nothing to sneeze at. Another benefit is a staff person gets to go, at least with Indus, for every 35 passengers. And of course, it is great to give your staff member, whether it's the president and CEO or the membership director or your retention person, FaceTime with those other people that are traveling internationally, all that networking time. It's a real benefit. Here's a chamber that took 2 groups totaling 165 people to China. You can do the math on that, but it's a substantial number. And remember, it's not just your members that are going, it's people from the community. And once they go on a trip, they often go again and again and again, exploring different parts of the world, and they bring their friends and their neighbors. I'm going to talk a lot more about that and where social media comes in. So here's the other benefits. I already talked about the additional source of non-dues revenue. That's by far the reason to do this. But the other reason, 62% of the chambers reported back that it was additional benefit of membership. And the more benefits of membership that you can put out there, you know, the more attractive it is to be a member and to stay a member. The networking opportunity for, you know, you send 50 of your members and people in your community, the mayor goes, or the top business people are traveling to India with other chamber members. All of that is a great networking opportunity. So about 60% of chambers said, you know, that is a benefit of these. Great press for your chamber. If you do a search on Google for chamber trips to China or what have you, you will come up with all sorts of press releases and news stories about how a local chamber is going to China or India or Europe or South America to build business relationships, and it's just great press for your chamber. Auxiliary benefits here again, new members. I mean, that's always a great thing. If somebody goes on a trip, there's a really good chance they become a member. Having the staff go along, which I already covered, and of course increased retention. Retention increases with relationships. If somebody has very little contact with the chamber, maybe just the one invoice a year is their only contact with the chamber, that's not a great retention strategy. But if they go on a chamber trip with the president and CEO, chances are their retention rate is going to be higher. So those are the other benefits of doing this. Again, it's mostly about non-dues revenue. So why don't all chambers go on these trips? My survey results showed that the biggest concerns is staff time of marketing the trips and pulling together the paperwork. So I'm going to talk about that. Other concerns where chambers said we thought we'd have very little member interest, so I'll talk about that. And this is a similar concern here: community, small market, or the neighbor chambers already doing it. So I'll cover those three there. Several chambers expressed the thought that it's just not in our business model for us to do international business travel or these trade missions, as they've been called. A lot of chambers expressed that we have somebody in our membership that already does a travel agency, and we get them mad at us. So I'll cover that. And then some people expressed that it's too expensive, and I'll talk about that also. So let's talk about staff time. I did individual research on this, primary research and secondary research, and yes, it does take time. It does take staff work. So don't go into this with rose-colored glasses, thinking that you're going to bring in a whole bunch of non-dues revenue for no time or no work. It does take some work, but keep in mind that you get to set the dates that you travel. So of course you wouldn't set your travel dates right next to your biggest event of the year. You know, you look at your calendar, see where there's gaps, talk to the people like Indus and find out is that a good time to travel to that country, and just work out on your schedule when you want to bring in this non-dues revenue. You control the date. Another thing you control is the destination. A good idea would be to survey your members, ask them where do they want to go. In some communities, you might find that they want to go to Cuba. You know, Cuba's open now, and that just might be something that a lot of members have an interest in. But then again, South America, Brazil, and Peru, these countries are attracting a lot of attention. I went to China, and it was a trip of a lifetime, 9 or 10 days. It was just amazing, and of course, Indus goes everywhere. So you get to select the destination based on your target market and their wants and needs. And then you turn this data over to Indus, and they put together their itinerary for you. So it's not as if staff time is taking up planning out a 9-day trip to a foreign country and you have to become experts at this. That's what Indus does. They are the experts at this. They also create the marketing materials for you, or they can give you templates where you can modify them for your own use. But don't think that you have to create all of that from scratch. They know what's worked in the past, and they have a team that works on that. Your major role as a chamber is to promote it to the members in the community. But that's what chambers do. We have email lists. We have the website. We are the center of the business community. We are the main point of contact between the business community and the general public. That's why this model works so well. The other role of the chamber is to collect the deposits and the travel agreements. Some member rights. Well, I won't get into details of how all this works, but the chamber collects a deposit, the chamber gets a contract, and then every so often forwards it on to Indus or whatever travel company you use. That's pretty much your role. Promote it to the members, collect the deposit, and then Indus handles the rest. Now, the Seattle Chamber says you do a lot of work to get the word out, but that's what chambers are great at, and I'm going to cover that in the social media and some other sections here. Keep in mind that the research showed that a majority of your travelers aren't your members. You may be thinking, yeah, but we only have a chamber of 200 people. I mean, how many are going to go? Well, you might have 5,000 people or 15,000 people in your larger community. The research showed that it's the public that goes on these trips, and it would be people with money, people that maybe would become members or good people for the chamber to know and to network with. And so keep in mind that the research showed that you will fill up your itinerary slots with non-members, a lot of them who repeat travel. What I kept hearing was people travel again and again and again, so what you do is you keep a list and make these people your VIPs, and as you come to your second, third, fourth, fifth trip, these people are the first to know and they're the first to sign up, and you start creating some momentum. You should plan on giving yourself about 6 months of marketing and sales and promotion time, so it's not as if you have to get this thing done in 3 weeks and it's this huge burden on the chamber. You plan it out, you have 6 months, you promote it out on the social media sites and in your newsletter and your email and things of this nature, and over time it starts rolling in, and as you get closer to your final date, you ramp up the marketing, and then you turn it over to Indus to handle the details. So how have chambers successfully marketed the trips? This is what the survey results said. So this is how have you successfully marketed your chamber trips, and it's email to membership. So you're already sending an email on a regular basis to your members. This is just something that you piggyback on. You use the graphics supplied by Indus, or you do your own graphics, and you just add that to your weekly or monthly membership emails, or you send them individually, whatever your strategy is. And of course, you create a web page. 82% of chambers said that we put up a page. Of course, that's standard nowadays. You add the marketing materials inside your printed newsletter as an ad or an insert, or in your local paper if you have that kind of agreement with your local paper that they help promote chamber trips and this sort of thing. Your insert goes in there. So just the standard things that you would do for your golf tournament or other things, you do the same with your chamber trips. About 60% of chambers said they successfully use social media to promote and sell these trips. I'm going to cover that in detail here fairly soon. And like I said earlier, press releases. The local press picks this up because it is an interesting story that the leaders of the business community are going to Europe to expand the community's business contacts. That is a big story, and you want your chamber to have a part of that, a role in that. So other concerns that came from that, the member interest, we don't have enough people. As I've already talked about, it's not just members, it's people from the community, which means that any size chamber can participate. There are no minimums here. I've covered those details there about it being your community. Covered that even just 20 passengers, which is, I heard from several chambers that even their first time they got to 20, it was no problem. Most of them do significantly more than that, but even the small chambers, 20 wasn't a problem. Covered the free spot. Here's a chamber that says they have not ever done one of these trips. They have one scheduled for November of this year, and they have 20 signed up and paid. But there's no risk. Even if you don't for some reason, or if you're not able to get to 20, there's no risk. Indus does all the blocking with the hotels and airlines, and you just need to confer with Indus and see their marketing materials and all this, and it's clearly no risk on the chamber. So what about it being not in the business model? This is, when I did the research, this is what we came up with, is some chambers call these trade missions. And of course, that is part of what a chamber does. It builds trade, especially it makes you more worldly that your chamber is doing trade missions. When we were in China, we were treated as dignitaries, and it was very impressive, and your members would just love that. And there was a lot of time to network. All of these trips are different. They have cultural aspects to them while they also have business. You work with Indus on the itinerary to make it the right mix for your chamber. Here's one response to the survey was we participated in a Canadian chamber-driven trip to China. It was worthwhile, and they'll do it again. They'll consider doing it again. But most importantly, some of us still retain connections with business people we met there. So it is a business trip. And the insights into the different culture was invaluable. So your members gained value for their business. And some people expressed that the cost was too high. And actually, your members save considerable amounts of money on these trips. And you'll just have to talk with Indus and compare what it costs to, I know that there's no way in the world I could have explored China for, it was either 9 or 10 days for what I did if it wasn't for a chamber trip and group travel. So you will be getting your members a good deal. About using your own in-house member travel agents, Indus will partner with your travel agents. That's not a problem. But just keep in mind that a travel agent is a lot of times selling somebody else's package. And it's different for Indus because the tours are designed and run by them. They don't sell other companies' tour packages. Indus does join your chamber, so they do become a member. The trips can be customized, which you would not get out of your local travel agent selling somebody else's package. As Harish said earlier, they have offices all over the world in the destinations to where if something comes up, it's good to have somebody from the company you're dealing with somebody there on the ground, a team on the ground. They have the offices in the local destinations. And then the expert guides and the tour coordinators was invaluable. When I was in China, it would have been great being alone, but I tell you, it was amazing having somebody to watch out for us and to make sure we reached our destinations and then give us a history and explain the importance of things, all of that. I wouldn't never travel internationally at this point without a tour guide to just to make it flow and make it more valuable. And again, this is right from Praveen, who I introduced in the beginning. He's the principal of the company. There is never any financial risk for chambers by offering these trips. So, and here is a quote, a testimonial from a chamber president, Jody Perry, of the Greece, New York Chamber of Commerce, who said, have them, here's the quote, the staff at Indus Travels made this an easy program to administer. I'd be happy to speak with you. So if you want to contact Jody, there's her email address and there's her phone number. She's dealt with, gone on trips with Indus, and she'd be more than happy to talk to you. So let's switch over to social media for these chamber trips. And I just want to make sure that you keep this simple. It's we sometimes overcomplicate things. When you're talking about using social media to promote these trips and all social media for your chambers, keep in mind the main goals here. Your first goal is to break through the clutter and to grab the attention of your members and people in the community. If you can't break through the clutter, then you're rendered invisible. You might be trying to market something, but if nobody knows you're trying to market that thing, then it's not going to do you any good. So your first goal is to break through the clutter. I'm going to talk about that. And the second thing is once you do break through the clutter and people engage with your content, then you need to build a relationship with them by commenting back on their comments or thanking them for sharing your posts or engaging with them in some fashion to build a relationship. And then finally, there's the conversion, where you turn this person that was a stranger to the chamber or hadn't heard about the chamber trip, they actually convert into a paying customer. So let me tell you a quick little story that I use about how story is what breaks through the clutter. Harish, I can hear something a little bit in the background, maybe some paperwork or something. I don't know if that's me or on your side.
No.
Okay. So let me tell you about story and how to grab people's attention as a chamber in promoting these chamber trips. That little boy, his name is Mateo, and Mateo's got cerebral palsy, and that's his mom there. And the reason I know this story is because I was asked to speak to the Northwest Lions Association. You probably have a Lions Club or 2 or 3 or 4 in your community. Well, these were the governors and leaders of the Lions for the Northwest. And, you know, the average age here of people, by the time you climb to the top, there's 400 of them in the audience, and the average age is probably 75 or something, at least 65, probably closer to 75. And these people are not your normal social media advocates, you know. So I knew I had to find something that would reach them to make them understand how important social media was and how to use it in their clubs to grow their memberships. And I came across this story about Mateo and his mom. Now, Mateo's got cerebral palsy, and the mom was upset that Mateo couldn't play at the local playground because he has special needs. And she went to a Lions Club, and that one Lions Club heard her story, and they agreed with her that it was a shame. And what they did is they partnered with 45 other Lions Clubs, and they raised $500,000, and they brought together 3,000 volunteers. And over 8 days, those volunteers and those clubs built that little boy and the other kids in the community with special needs, you know, this giant playground that everybody could use. It's just a very special thing to do. It's an amazing story, and that's the kind of story that'll break through the clutter. One of the guys there, Ron Hudson, said he spent 8 days building Mateo's dream, and it was the best thing I have ever done in my life. Now, through social media, Ron Hudson sharing that on his cell phone or going home and uploading some pictures and telling how this is one of the best things I have done in my life. That is how you use modern social media or modern media to tell a story. In the old days, you'd run a newspaper ad, you know, for the Lions Club. It would be, you know, we meet at Denny's at noon on Tuesday, please join us. Well, it's just not done anymore. You'll notice that back when I talked about how to market the chamber trips, there was your email, your website, social media. There was nothing there about spending money on newspaper ads. You don't have any expenses for newspaper ads or radio buys or TV commercials. Today, what you do is you tell the story of what your organization stands for, what your organization does, and then you allow these 3,000 volunteers or other people that are touched by the story to share it for you. So as it concerns these chamber trips, you need to think about, well, what kind of story can we tell that'll break through the clutter and make people sit up in their chairs and go, oh, that's for me. Let me explain it this way. Tom Peters, the management guru, said the story is more powerful even than the brand of a business. And if you think about a stockbroker, he's going to be having clients over, millionaire clients. He's a millionaire stockbroker, and he's going to have people over, and he's going to need a bottle of wine for the night for the dinner that'll match and be, you know, suitable for the evening. And he goes to a wine shop, and he'd be looking at the top shelf for a wine that would just be perfect, and it'd probably be $100 bottle of wine or more. He's really not going to notice the new boxed wine that's out on the market because that story of the boxed wine just does not reach him. That story would not reach his worldview. And the same is true with Joe Sixpack, you know, factory worker that just needs some red table wine for the week, really isn't going to notice if there's a new $100 bottle of wine out on the market. Those things are invisible. Things are invisible to us until they break through the clutter. So you need to make sure that when you're using social media to grow your chamber's membership or promote these chamber trips, that you're doing posts that break through the clutter to where the other person seeing it sits forward in their chair and goes, oh, that's for me. Here, let me give you an example. This is a post by the Mississauga Board of Trade, basically a chamber of commerce in Canada. They're dealing with Indus Travel. And the picture they chose was this picture from India of the elephant all decked out in traditional garb. So for somebody that would be interested in someday traveling, that has world travel on their bucket list, they're going to sit forward in their chair and go, oh, that's for me. And then, you know, just a little bit of, you know, marketing just to say, you know, where we're going and when, with a link to the, you know, a link to the website, fine. That's just something, a post that will break through the clutter, and other people will share it, other people will comment. This one got five likes, and then the person said, they're jealous, we wish we could go too. And so it's that social proofing, it's getting other people to say that, wow, this sounds interesting, and to get them, once they comment or share or like, it goes into the news feeds of their friends, and that way it's not the chamber saying the trip is great, it's their friends that are sharing the trip through their news feed. And you're going to see this more and more and more. This is a study that's out recently from IBM, and they looked at how are customers going to interact in the future with companies. And face-to-face is going to go down. It's going to decline. Call centers and phone calls are going to go down. Traditional media is going to fall off the face of the cliff. 61% decrease over the next 3 to 5 years. If you think traditional media has had it hard, now IBM's predicting it just to almost collapse. I mean, it's really going to go through some tough times. But look at social media. It's projected to increase 256% over the coming years. So, and website also is still going to increase. So why this is important is because with social media, it gets shared and has a chance to go a little bit more viral, where your members and people in the community are sharing your trip or sharing that the chamber is an organization they should belong to. And when people see that, people are more likely to act because it comes from their friends, that word of mouth. This is a statement that came out years and years ago, and it's so true that 95% of people are imitators and not initiators, or said another way, 95% of people are followers. Well, if 95% of people are followers, what that means is that people are persuaded more by the actions of others than by any proof we can offer. And why that matters to marketers and chamber people is because you can say the trip is amazing, but you're the marketer, you're the advertiser, you're the one that stands to benefit from saying that, and so people are going to discount that. They're going to be a little bit skeptical. But if your members are saying that the trip is going to be amazing, or the trip they just got back from was amazing, and they encourage people to take the next one, well, the people follow that. When our friends say it, we believe it. And Nielsen did a study of who do people trust for these kind of recommendations in advertising and marketing, and it's 90% of the time we trust recommendations from people known to us, and 70% of the time we trust just consumer opinions posted online, even if we don't know who they came from. If it's the majority of posts are one way or another, we give that a lot of weight, but we give very little weight to advertisers themselves, because of course they're going to say they're great. So what you want to do is turn your members into salespeople for you, and use that power of word of mouth through your posts. So like this chamber here, Northumberland Central Chamber of Commerce posted just an amazing picture of a Russia. That could be, I don't know what building that is. I've seen it 100 times, and I'm not positive what that is. But it breaks through the clutter. If somebody wants to travel the world, or somebody wants to go to Russia, they're going to sit up in their chair and go, ah, this is nice. And then they're going to read that. Yep, we're going to visit history and the splendor of Moscow and St. Petersburg, and watch for details. So it's a bit of a tease. They get 5 likes and 2 comments, which means it shows up in the news feeds of those people's friends. This chamber here, after their trip, got all this feedback that everybody would be able to see, and it would have all this credibility because people know Karen and Wendy and Bernice. And Karen, wow, fantastic trip, loved every minute of it, had a fantastic time. China was awesome, wonderful people, great trip. And that's golden. You can't pay for that kind of advertising, and here it is publicly visible in your community. Another thing you can do is make sure you create a Facebook event for your trip. This is a chamber going to Cuba, and they invited hundreds of people in their community, their friends on Facebook, and maybe the staff members invited their friends, and maybe the board members or other people invited their friends. But 23 people responded that they're going, and another 22 people said maybe they're going. Well, that shows up in the news feeds of their friends saying that they're going to go on this trip, or they're maybe going on this trip. And all of a sudden, it becomes not the chamber saying the trip is amazing, it's the members saying, and the people from the community saying the trip is amazing. That's what you want to do, is turn your members into salespeople for you. Here's another similar kind of thing where the Hayward Chamber of Commerce did an event page, and they invited the people. A lot of people said they were going, and maybe, and then here came the comments. We're very interested in a trip to China or Vietnam. We went on the Italy trip and loved it, so there's that social proof. This guy says, I want to go to China, and the chamber responds with, that's great news, Bill, because we were expecting, and you'll notice that Kim here used his personal profile. It's one of the questions I'm going to cover here in a few minutes about personal versus the Chambers page. Well, it's really, really good to use your personal profile when you're doing chamber business. I'll cover that more in a minute. Here's a post by a person that went on a China trip. Wonderful group of people. Just had a great time. This kind of thing is golden, and the fact that the chamber responded just to let them know that the post wasn't just thrown out there. The more you can nurture that to get shares and likes, it really comes down to this thing that Seth Godin said, that what you want to do is turn strangers into friends. Through your social media, you want to turn strangers into friends. Well, in order to turn a stranger into a friend, the first thing you have to do is, as I said, break through the clutter, and then they become friends through engagement. Then those friends turn into members, or they turn into customers for these chamber trips, and then those members turn into salespeople for you. That's the cycle. So there's my end of it. Let me just cover a few questions here that we put down that we were going to cover here. Like the question on personal Facebook versus page. You need both. Your chamber page is really important, and you should respond and engage as the chamber page when when appropriate. But you also have your whole staff, and they're all on Facebook, and they should be also engaging. The people in the community, sharing the posts, commenting, responding, because it's more powerful when it's person to person than it is person to business. We don't have relationships with businesses so much as people in the business. So yes, make sure that everybody uses their personal profiles on Facebook to engage as much as possible. The best dates and times for these posts that you're doing to Facebook, it used to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, because that's when people were at work with their computers and high-speed internet. But today, more than half the people have smartphones, and they're online all the time. More than half of emails nowadays are opened on smartphones or handheld devices. So they've done studies, they've looked at a lot of data, and they're finding that the weekends, sometimes in the evenings on the weekends, when people are finally settling down and they have a chance to be on Facebook for a couple hours to get caught up with their friends, that is actually Saturdays and Sundays are when you're going to get the most likes and comments. You'll have to test it for your market. It's not always true. It's not universal. But don't think that it's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 anymore. They found that at 6 and 8 p.m. at night is more active than 9 a.m. in the morning. So what types of posts receive the best engagement? What they found was by far images give you the best engagement. People are visual. It breaks through the clutter. Picture of the destination that you're going to will be much more effective than the words of the destination you're going to. And in a link taking them off of your Facebook is actually the worst that you can do. First of all, Facebook doesn't like people to leave the website very much. So they are showing links less in the news feeds of your fans. But also people want to stay there. They're on Facebook because they want to see what their friends are up to. And so a link taking them away from Facebook is the least effective. So you stick with photos or videos or text and do very few status updates that are just links that take them off Facebook. And then what sites to use beyond Facebook? Well, everything that you're promoting on Facebook for the trips, you should also post to your Twitter. You should have Twitter followers. You should nurture Twitter. Twitter is a perfect place to be posting these out 2 or 3 times a day, especially as you get closer to the end of the campaign. Really be getting that on Twitter a lot. And then if your chamber is using Pinterest, all those visual pictures on a Pinterest board for the chamber trips, invaluable. You should really look into doing Pinterest for your chamber. Many chambers now are using Pinterest. So use these techniques I've given you to increase your non-dues revenue through social media. And let me just wrap it up here with, there's my contact information. That's who I am. If I can be of any service to you whatsoever, don't hesitate to reach out. Harish, I'm going to turn it over to you at this point.
Sure. Thank you very much, Frank. It was a wonderful presentation and very nicely covered both the travel and how they can use the Facebook and social media to market the travel. Before I begin my presentation, it's a very short 4 slides presentation, and then we can take some question answers. Everybody on your right hand side, you'll see there's a screen, some small box. In the bottom there is a question section, so if you want to drop in more questions, we'll be glad to answer them. So once again, my name is Harish. I work with Indus Travel as a group coordinator. We do these trips to various destinations. So some of the destinations that we cover are these upcoming economies. That's Brazil, Russia, India, and China. So as Frank very well explained, in these destinations, we can organize a buyer-seller meet. You can actually do a kind of a trade mission if you want to take your members to these destinations. But we also have other destinations also. Next, please, Frank. So we have more than 16 destinations that we cover. So most of the chambers are promoting these, even the upcoming economies or these destinations, and they're making them mix as a leisure as well as a business trip. So what we basically do is on the first 7 to 8 days, you have everything that is on the leisure section. So sightseeing, visiting the monuments, and then on the last day, we have a one-day buyer-seller meet wherein they can actually interact with the local business community. You have local chambers with whom we can get them connected. So on that one last day, they can have a buyer-seller meet kind of a thing. These trips are basically from 9 nights to 10 days, and they cover a lot of things which I will be covering in the questions that we have. We also help chamber executives to visit these destinations so that when they come back, it's very good for them. They can speak about the destination. We have done it in the past. We are doing it now also. We have 3 trips lined up. We are doing a trip to Colombia. We are doing a trip to India. We are doing a trip to Abu Dhabi. This is just an old sample flyer. So if any one of you is interested, please email me, or I will also send you the information of these trips. So we had few questions last time, and these are very good questions, and they relate to most of the travel programs. So one of the question was relating to the travel agent. If he is already your member, how does it work? So typically when you have a travel agent member and he wants to participate with you in this program, it's very good. You can actually assign them to be your official agent, and all the bookings and everything is done to this agent. And this agent also gets a revenue because he's working on the trip. So we work out the program in such a way that the chamber makes the most, and the agent also gets a little bit of portion for the services he's offering. Then the second question was about the member and the non-member. This is also a very good point of marketing. Some chambers do this. For example, if you're marketing a trip to your member for $2,400, you can add more value to it, like $2,600 for your non-members. Could be you have more revenue from the non-members, or you encourage them to become your members, and then you have a new member for that time. So yes, you can run the trip in 2 different prices. And do we have pricing available for other travel destinations? Yes, we have 16 destinations, as I said, and we have pricing for 2013. Typically we are doing Europe, we are doing Asia, we are doing Middle East. So we have Bali, Bangkok, Hong Kong, Ireland, we have Spain, Turkey. So we have pricing ready for all these trips. This point of the network marketing I have already covered. As you want, we can do a business trip, so it will be purely business all the 4 or 5 days that you're there, or just on the last day. We can organize a buyer-seller meet. We can connect you with the local chamber over there. Your members can send their profile. They can connect with the same profile business person in that country, and they can definitely work with them. With regards to the new hot countries coming, the times when we run these promotions are March and April, and September and October. So some of the good destinations that you can go on this period is Dubai, which is really doing good. It has so much of architecture, buildings to offer. Turkey, a lot of history. Morocco, again, a lot of history, and India. So these are some good points. The second point is almost in the same, the second question that is there, people who have already done China, which other destinations they can spot. So we recommend Dubai, Turkey, Morocco, India. Peru is also one of the newest destination coming up. Very good question from this chamber, that they have hosted several trips, and how do they encourage new members. With regards to the destination, really depends what kind of destinations they have covered, but we have seen there is a huge interest coming for Dubai. We've had groups from 75 up to 100 people going there. Russia is also a good upcoming destination, and the last one is Peru. So these three are new, really upcoming destinations. People liking to travel here, they have enjoyed the trip, and they've come back with very good and excellent feedbacks. Right now we are running a promotion, as you saw on one of the Frank's slide, that we normally offer only one person free on 35 people, but this is a special promotion for the people who have attended this webinar today. We will be offering one free on 25 people if you sign up with us before 15th of November for any trips leaving for next year. And you will also get 2 hours consultation with Frank, and he's really going to help you how to put up your social media, Facebook, and you saw he had so many points that he highlighted, how to put the photographs, what comments to put, and things like that. This has really worked well. We have worked with few chambers and they've had good feedback. So my suggestion is, if you are thinking of doing any trip for 2013, take advantage of this promotion, and we'll be glad to work with you. I think this is my last slide, and I will check if there's any questions from any one of you. It'll be nice for us to answer you. No, Frank, I don't see there's any questions.
Well, that's fine. I'm available by email if anybody wants to contact me. It's frank@frankjkenny.com. And Harish, good working with you. I appreciate this opportunity to share my passion for social media for chambers.
Yeah, thank you very much, and hear from you all soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.